Good day, everyone. Once again, this is your Sir Stephen Ballo, and for this video, we're going to discuss a continuation of our topic, our lesson in entity relationship modeling concepts. And this time around, we're going to discuss these structural constraints for this video. Now, since this will be a very long video, because this has a lot of topics to be discussed, so ito lang yung magiging covered lang ng video na to, and in the next video I'll be discussing about the problems with the ER models. Okay, so without further ado, let us start. So I think you are already familiar na with this topic na. Hindi nyo lang alam na structural constraints pala to siya. Okay, so we have here the following. Ito nga tinatawag na relationship constraints. So I'm sure you are all familiar with this one-to-one relationship. So pwedeng itong 1:1 meaning nito is 1-to-1. So bali ito yung parang shorthand notation niya. So kung 1-to-many, we have 1:* asterisk, and then for many-to-many, asterisk: asterisk. By the way, these are the following relationship constraints. We have 1-to-1 relationship, 1-to-many relationships, many-to-many relationships, and complex relationships. So you'll see why complex siya. So hindi lang pala many-to-many but complex. So usually itong 1-to-1, 1-to-many, and many-to-many, these are for relationship types na binary. So dalawang entity types ang involved sa relationship. Whereas yung complex kasi it could be 3 or more. So later we'll be talking about that in detail. Okay, now let's begin with the first relationship types, itong 1-to-1 relationship. So consider the relationships manages, which relates the staff and branch entity types. So this figure, ito na figure na to, displays two occurrences of the manages relationship type. Okay, so R1 and R2. So ito yung nilabel lang itong mga occurrences na to as R1, R2. So meaning meron tayong dalawang occurrences of relationship between the staff and branch. Okay? So each relationship represents the association. Yun nga, as mentioned ako. It represents the association between a single staff entity occurrence and a single branch entity occurrence. Yeah. Now, just to make it's simple to represent each occurrence, so yung ginamit ito to indicate unique staff is the staff numbers and in the branch number. So ganon, baka balito kayo bakit staff number yung no, just for simplicity lang to. So this is how you're going to do this in semantic net na model for analyzing relationships. Now let us proceed with this determining the multiplicity. So before that, determining the multiplicity normally requires na pag-aralan mo yung data, the precise relationships between the data given na binigay ng enterprise, ng kumpanya or the client that you are currently transacting with, and you usually determine the multiplicity using the sample data na nakuha mo sa kanila. So the sample data may be obtained by galing sa mga na-filled up na mga forms. Either this one came from the customers or from the employees of this client, no, kumpanya or business na ginagawa niyo ng database. Pwedeng yung reports nila, or pwedeng galing sa discussion, whenever discussion from the clients, from the customers of this business client mo. So yan. However, no, it is also important to stress that para marating yung pinakatamang conclusion about the constraints, no, yung relationship constraints, kailangan na yung sample data na ini-examine, na pinag-aaralan, is dapat totoo, sakto, no? So that hindi rin so dapat sakto, magiging sakto yung output ng entity relationship nyo. Kasi pag hindi, yan ang magkakaroon ng mga problema, which in the next video we'll be talking about that. Kasi pag ano mangyayari pag namali yung pag-analyze mo sa data, sample data na nakuha mo galing sa clients mo. Okay? So, let us resume, no? So, going back, no? Determining the multiplicity for the one-to-one relationships. So, we see that ito sa figure na to. We see that this staff that has the staff number SG5 manages the branch that has this branch number B003, diba? As you noticed. And staff number SL21 manages branch number B005. Pero ito, as you noticed, this one is SG37 staff does not manage any branch. Diba? Wala. Kasi walang line. So in other words, a member of staff can manage 0, pwedeng wala, or maximum of 1 branch. So this is how you're going to write it, no? In ERD, UML notation. Again, a member of staff, or a staff rather, can manage 0 or 1 branch. And how about itong dito naman sa branch? Each branch is managed by 1 member or of staff, or 1 staff. So bakit that 1? Kasi ano man, at least 1 staff, and of course the maximum is 1 staff. So therefore isang staff lang talaga yung nagma-manage sa isang branch. Okay. So as there is a maximum of 1 branch for each member of staff, di ba? Maximum of 1 branch for each member of staff. Pwedeng wala, pero at least may maximum is 1. Okay. So of each maximum of 1 branch for each member of staff involved in this relationship, and a maximum of 1 member of staff for each branch, ba? Isang staff lang yung nagmamanage sa branch. So therefore, we refer to this type of relationship as one-to-one. Yeah. Now, going back now to how to for the diagrammatic representation of one-to-one, kung i-translate mo na siya into ERD, UML notation. So an ER diagram of the staff manages branch relationship is shown here. Ito, to represent that a member of staff can manage 0 or 1 branch. So we place the 0, 1 katabi sa branch na entity. So ito man. So okay, ito pala yung mga multiplicities, and ayan, ito yung ibig kong sabihin kanina. So a member of staff can manage 0 or 1 branch. Okay? So to represent that a branch always has 1 manager, so we place this yung kanina, yung 1.1 beside katabi sa staff na entity. Okay? So ito, each branch is managed by 1 member of staff. So next we have one-to-many relationships, or one:1 asterisk. So consider the relationship overseas, tinututukan, no? So sa Tagalog pa, a staff is monitoring or overseeing a property for rent. Yan. Minamasdan niya, minamonitor. So that's what overseas is, no? So consider the relationship overseas which relates the staff and property for rent entity types. So this figure displays 3 occurrences. So example lang, no? 3 occurrences of the staff overseas property for rent relationship types. So each relationship, again, no? Each relationship here represents the association between a single staff entity occurrence and a single property for rent entity co-occurrence. Now, how do we determine the multiplicity of each entity? So in this figure, no, we see that the staff, itong SG37, oversees the properties PG21 and PG36. Ayun, marami siyang, bali, itong staff pala na to, kaya niya pala a staff pala can manage at 2, no? So far 2. In this case, dalawang properties for rent yung kaya ma-oversee. And staff, for staff number SA9, it oversees the property for rent, the PA14. But, no, as you noticed naman, no, we have this SG5, wala siyang in-oversee na properties for rent. And also, itong PG4 na property for rent, walang staff na nag-oversee sa kanya. So, PG14 is not overseen by any member of staff. So, in summary, no, a member of staff or a staff can oversee at least 0 or more properties for rent. So if we're going to translate this into a UML notation, again, members of staff can oversee 0 or more properties for rent. Take note, ha, yung asterisk, this is more, 0 or more properties for rent. Okay, and a property for rent is overseen by 0 or 1, no? Pwedeng wala or pwedeng at least 1 member of staff. So ito, 0 or 1 member of staff. So therefore, for members of staff, no, that are participating in this relationship, ito silang lahat, no? These members of staff that are participating in this relationship, there are many properties for rent, di ba? And for properties participating in this relationship, there's a maximum of 1 member of staff. Diba? 1, 1, 1, whereas ito, pwedeng 1 or many. So therefore, no, we refer to this type of relationship as one-to-many. Yeah. Now, if we're going to translate this one into a UML, so same pa rin sa kanina, no? Each member of staff is oversees 0 or more properties or rent, or in the other way around. So ang kada isang property for rent is overseen by 0 or 1 member of staff. Yeah. So additional info, no? So if we know, no, kung alam natin yung actual na minimum at maximum, no, values for the multiplicity, we can display this instead. So for example, if a member of staff oversees a minimum of 0 and a maximum of 100 properties for rent. So you can replace this one, itong asterisk, with 100. So ibig sabihin, the staff, each member of staff can foresee 0 or 100 properties. Okay, pwede yan. If you, that is kung alam mo kung hanggang saan lang talaga na properties for rent yung kayang i-oversee ni staff. But if you don't know how many or many infinite siya, so you can, ano na lang, with asterisk. Okay, so we have many to many relationships. Again, we have another example this time, no? Consider the relationship advertises, no? Which relates the newspaper and the property for rent entity types. So this figure, no, itong figure na to, this time, it displays 4 occurrences of the advertises relationship. Okay? So if you're asking me, medyo kung nalilito kayo, paano na-determine ito? R1, R2, R3, R4. Example lang po to. Okay? But you can have as many relationship types as you want. Pero yung nilagay lang dito, yung essential lang, no, para ma-identify lang kung ano to, kung main to many ba to, or one to many. So again, ito pwede pa ka to maging R5 gani. Depende. So anyway, this figure displays 4 occurrences of the advertises relationship. Each relationship represents the association between a single newspaper entity occurrence and a single property for rent entity occurrence. Okay. So in determining the multiplicity for many to many relationships, for example, ito sa figure na to, no? So we have the following. We have 3 newspapers and we have 4 property for rents. In this figure, we see that the Glasgow Daily na newspaper, no, it advertises for in-advertise niya itong dalawa na to, dalawang property for rent. We have PG221 and PG36. That is for Glasgow Daily. So the West News naman, it advertises the PG13 ay PG36 property for rent. Then ito namang Aberdeen Express, it advertises the PA14 na property for rent, no? However, kung dito naman tayo sa property for rent, we can notice that the PG4 na property for rent is not being advertised by any newspapers. So kawawa naman to. Wala nag-advertise na newspaper. But anyway, that's, however, no, asan na, nawala na ako. So in other words, no, one newspaper here, no, isang newspaper can advertise, no, one or more properties for rent, ba? Like just like in this instance, no, itong newspaper na to, isa lang yung in-advertise niya na property for rent. Then we also have here din itong Glasgow Daily na kaya naman mag-advertise ng 2 property for rent. So therefore, no, one newspaper advertises 1 or more properties for rent, and 1 property for rent, no, is advertised in, pwedeng wala, no, 0. Nakalimutan ko pala to. Nakalimutan ko, sorry. One newspaper entity can, ulitin ko lang kasi nakalimutan ko to pag-display. Okay. One newspaper advertises 1 or more properties for rent. And for this one here, 1 property for rent is advertised by 0 or many newspapers. So ito yan. So therefore, there are many properties for rent And for each property of rent participating in this relationship, there are many newspapers. So we refer to this type as a many-to-many relationship. So ganun. Diba? As you notice, so sa newspaper, pwede palang many properties for rent. O yung kaya niyang advertise. At the same time, itong properties for rent are also being advertised by pwedeng wala or many newspapers. So many, both sides have a maximum of at least as many relationships, no? So this is definitely a many-to-many relationship. Sorry medyo I'm a bit napapagod na ako. So please bear with me with my my voice starting to getting tired. Now, where was I? So we have here newspaper advertises property for rent. So again, parehas lang sa kanina. We have here each newspaper advertises one or more properties for rent. Yan. And on the other hand, each property for rent is advertised in 0 or more newspapers. So okay. Then last we have how do we find a multiplicity for complex relationships? So this will take a while kasi maraming steps to. But I'll try to make this to explain this as simple as I can. Going back to this nakita na natin to in the previous subtopics sa ternary relationship. This time how are we going to assign multiplicity for this complex or ternary relationship? So ganito lang. So this time first is to assign ka kung anong entities yung i-pair up mo, papares mo. So in this example we have staff and branch. They were paired, pinares sila. And yun, this figure displays 5 occurrences of the registers relationship. Each relationship represents the association of a single staff occurrence, single branch entity occurrence, and a single client entity occurrence. Yeah. And this figure, we examine the registers relationship when the values for the staff and branch entities are fixed. Yun nga, pinair up nila sila yung staff and branch entities. So determining the multiplicity has a lot of steps, but let's make this short. So for this in this figure with the staff and branch number fixed, so as you notice, there are 0 or more client number values. Now for example, itong staff number SG37 at branch number 2, ni-register niya yung client number CR56 and CR74, whereas ito namang staff number na SG14 at branch number 003, it registers the client numbers CR62, CR84, and CR91. So however, itong as you notice, itong SG5 at branch B003, it didn't register any client. So in other words, when the staff number and branch number values are fixed, now corresponding client number values are 0 or more. Ba? 0 kasi ito wala siyang na-assigned na client, or more, diba, as you notice in here in this 2 staff branch. So therefore this the multiplicity of the registers relationship from the perspective of the staff and branch is this one. Okay? Zero or many clients. Diba? Zero or many clients. Yan. Okay. So, yung after that, yung multiplicity na na-derive natin, we'll just assign it to the entity type na for this one. No? So, this is for the multiplicity of the registers relationship from the perspective of the stop and branch entities. Yan. And then, after that, so, this time, yung ipe-pair up na naman, this is yung staff and client. So, we have the following staff handles client, CR56, registers this client into isang branch. Isang branch lang yung pwedeng i-assign ni staff sa isang client. Ba? Yan. Now, as you notice, no, I hope nga na nabantayan nyo. We didn't include the SG5 kasi wala mo siyang client na register. Diba? Wala. So, therefore, ito lang kasali. So, if we go same procedure, no, it's one branch. No? As you notice naman sa relationship, yung isang line lang per kada isang staff client na entity occurrence. And then we assign this value here, lagay natin dito. Yeah. So imagine lang, supposed to be meron na dapat dito. Then ano ko lang, para hindi kayo malito, ano ko lang, hinimay-himay ko lang. But later I will display the final result, no? So kasi yung final result dapat itong lahat na to may may multiplicity na. Okay? So ito, this time we paired the client and the branch entities. So bali a client under a branch was registered by a single staff. Diba? Yeah. So how did I derive this one? Again, all of these were based from the first example, diba? So lahat ng clients sinali natin kung ano lang yung available na branch dito, B0033. So yun lang. I managed to pair them up. Okay, depende kasi. So ito, pwede natin ito ma-pair, itong client ito and the branch kasi they have a relationship. Okay. So same procedure like the other one. Now regardless kung ano man yung dito, yung as you notice, no, the staff entity is registers client in a certain branch. No? Doesn't matter. Ito man yung titingnan natin. Diba? Isa lang yung nire-register nila to a staff. So that is one that stuff. Yeah. And then you assign this multiplicity here. Okay, so after that, natapos mo na pag-pair up lahat. So ito na yung final result niya. The diagrammatic representation for a ternary relationship. Ito na lahat. And next we have participation. So we have the following two kinds of types of participation. We have mandatory and optional. So when we say for example itong participation of the staff entity, so makikita natin to. Ito hinighlight ng pula, no. It's focused, no, sa staff. As you notice, hindi lahat ng staff may minamanage na branch. So therefore, if hindi lahat ng occurrences ng staff ay may relationship to the other entity. So therefore, yung participation niya is optional. Ba? Again, we've observed that na-observe natin na not all staff manage branches, not all staff nagmamanage ng branch. Diba? So, since not all staff, so optional yung participation niya. However, dito sa branch, ito, entity type, as you can notice, lahat ng branches are being managed by staff. Diba? So, all branches are managed by staff. So, therefore, itong participation ni branch sa relationship nila is mandatory. Yun. This is how you determine the participation based on semantic net. No. What if walang semantic net model? All you have is this UML diagram. No? So how do you identify the participation based lang sa diagram? You just look at this first number, no? So in this case, this 1, 0, ibig sabihin niyan is di lahat ng staff member ay nagmamanage ng isang branch. So therefore, staff, yung participation ni staff is optional. So this one, okay, since all branches are mandatory, therefore yung sa nabi ko, since all branches are managed, so therefore yung participation ni branch is mandatory. Diba? You just madali lang talaga, you just determine it by the what? Pag 0, optional na yan, matik. Pag 1, mandatory. Ganun lang. Okay, so we've finally covered everything, no, for this topic, structural constraints. Meron pang last topic that we need to discuss by, which is the problems that we could encounter in making ER models. So that's all now for this video, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.